Welcome to Just an Average Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome into Just an Average Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Hayes, with Matt Baker.
That's me.
You can find us at avgffpod.com. Go there. You can click the buttons to go see us on Facebook and take you to the Apple, Spotify, and just about anywhere else you can get it. You can go listen to us on Podbean. You can listen to us on the website itself.
Yes.
If you do listen on Apple, though, we would appreciate a review. That would be awesome. I don't check them often, but sometimes when I remember to check them, it's cool if I see them there. And if I do see them there and it's a new one, we will read it. And it may be 5 months after you post it. I'm not making any promises. But when I see it, I'll be like, oh, here's a new review. Then we'll read it on there.
Well, yep. It'll be shouted out.
So, but go give us a like, follow, subscribe, tell your friends about us. Today, we're going to be breaking down or attempting to break down in our best way possible
our feelings. Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah, we're going to talk about our feelings.
We'll talk about our feelings.
Yeah. The wide receivers and tight ends of this draft class. And give our just average views of them. Of course, we did quarterbacks and running backs last week and felt pretty good about that. We got 1 week for the NFL draft.
I'm like mixed emotions, I guess, would be the real answer. Like, I want football.
Yeah.
And I know this is what leads to football.
Yeah.
You know, we get this draft underway, but at the same time, I feel like it hasn't been enough time to not have football. Like, I don't know.
I'm different. Well, I will say for us, although we do take a break, it does like when we before we did the podcast, we did have a break.
Yeah.
And before we played Dynasty.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Dynasty does keep it going.
Yeah, we are balls deep in Dynasty, so it does keep football front brain. If we were still playing only redraft, then even the draft would just be a blip into a long intermission until football again.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like the fact that it's there, but I get what you're saying. You're worried about too much of a good thing, but I'm just like, give me all the good things.
Yeah, give me all the good things.
We should have a lot more answers. Well, we will have a lot more answers after the draft. We'll have more feelings. We are going to try to get together Monday or Tuesday. I'm not making any promises because we cannot record on Wednesdays. We have Dart League, and then the draft is Thursday and Friday, so we won't be recording on Thursday or Friday next week. But both of our schedules are always up in the air, and so I'm hoping that Monday or Tuesday next week we can get together and do a pre-draft mock draft. It'll only be like 2 rounds. We're not going to do anything crazy, but I'd like to see how we feel about them. For me, it's kind of it's an interesting thing to see how we feel about these players before and then after the draft once we know where they're playing.
Yeah, their landing spots.
Because things change. You look at stuff a few years ago. I always remember. Or even last year, talking about what's his lips, the running back that went to the Rams is the backup out of Michigan behind Kyron.
Oh, Blake Corum. Yeah.
Blake Corum. Yeah, last year we were big on Blake Corum. Blake Corum to me was the second best running back coming out of the draft. So like before we were drafting him in the first round, and then obviously he wasn't a first round draft pick.
Yeah, no, I don't think any of the running backs that came in last year were really worth anything. Like,
if we did that draft again, Bucky Irvin would be a first round draft pick.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like,
maybe Tyron Tracy would squeak into the back of the first, but you're right.
You're looking at the Trey Benson. We were all hyping up.
Well, yeah, Jonathan for the Panthers. Was
Brooks.
Jonathan Brooks.
Jonathan Brooks.
I was going to say Jonathan Stewart, who was also a Panther running back from a billion years ago, who I actually used to have a hat with his autograph. I met Jonathan Stewart.
Oh, nice.
And Luke. I didn't meet Luke Kuechly. We were in line to meet Luke Kuechly, and then we had to leave. It was my son was in a band in high school, not like marching band, but like a band, but rock. He was in a rock band and a bluegrass band. Anyway. We went to a thing to meet Panthers players, and it was Jonathan Stewart and Luke Kuechly. And Jonathan Stewart was first, so we got to stand in line and get his autograph, shake his hand. He was super cool. I mean, he's doing autographs, not he's going to be a dick, but he did seem pretty cool.
Yeah.
Luke Kuechly seemed amazing. He was cool, like walking around before, like behind the rope, just like talking to people, everybody. And then we were in line to meet Luke Kuechly, and then it was like we're going to stand in line as long as we can until we have to absolutely leave so you can make your gig.
Yeah.
And we got to the point where we were way too far away.
It was time to
and
go.
he had to go.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, that's listen to that awesome story. Anyway, but yeah, Jonathan
Brooks. I got you, man. I got you. I'm here for nothing else other than names.
My brain is just a like a chunky soup. It's just chunky soup.
Yeah.
There's no cohesiveness to
warm beans.
it. It's warm beans. Yes. Anyway, no real news to report on since last week. Aaron Rodgers is still playing his diva. Oh, I might retire. I don't know. I want to make sure I play for a winner. Blah, 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 crap. So I don't know. I can tell you that at some point Mike Tomlin's going to be like, I don't give a shit. I don't.
Yeah, like I'm done with this. Well,
I can't really think of another team out there right now
who can go to potentially compete.
Yeah, who needs a quarterback? I just can't. I mean, it just off the top of my head, I can't. Now, obviously, he could just say, "Screw it, I'm going to quote unquote retire," and then go sit and then wait for somebody to get hurt. You know, if somebody, you know, mid-season, one of these top quarterbacks got hurt for these really, I mean, God forbid, Jalen Hurts gets hurt, or you know, whatever. Then maybe they would say, okay, we'll bring in Aaron Rodgers to try to finish, you know, take us to the playoffs or whatever. But I don't know. I still think he's going to be a Steeler.
I guess as crazy as it may sound, or you know, the whole hypothetical, or not hypothetical, but the whole conspiracy, whatever that everybody goes with. I mean, the Vikings, if McCarthy doesn't come back from the injury as they expect him to and whatnot, I mean, it still could be a potential fitting point because they got a decent team collectively. You know, I mean, Darnold took them to the playoffs, so
yeah.
I mean, there's still a shot that could be a thing.
There is.
Like,
I would say there's still a shot for sure. They were kind of interested, especially. I feel like, you know, we don't know what J.J. McCarthy's status is. He's still come back from the injury, and if he gets a setback, then they could be like, "Oh crap, we got to go get him." You know, I realized the other day when I was going through one of my dynasty like free agents, and this is just like, I guess maybe he's toast, and that's why nobody's gone after him. And this will be 2 years, but Ryan Tannehill's still out there.
Yeah,
you know, and so he would be, you know, I don't know. I mean, again. There's got to be a reason he's not being signed, but it's like I can't imagine he's any worse than, you know, Joshua Dobbs. Yeah. Like I don't know why
Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, or Mason Rudolph
passing him around.
So I don't know, you know, why Tannehill's not getting any sniffs unless there's his arm is just toast in whatever. But that, you know, I don't know. I think Rodgers is going to be a Steeler. I think ultimately he's going to sign. I think this is just a ploy for him to get. They're probably only offering him $6 or $7 million, and he wants 10 or more because he came out and said that he'll play for a $10 million contract. So he's trying to push the number up, is what my guess is. Plus, he fucking loves attention.
Oh yeah, that's definitely part of
his ex-girlfriend. I forget her name, but she's an actress. She came out and said that being Aaron Rodgers' girlfriend was one of the most miserable experiences of her life.
Wow.
She just said that like being with him was just always miserable, and I think she meant it. I didn't read the article, so I'm only speaking just off of like the headline of it. But it seemed like what she was saying, not like abusive or anything, but more along the lines of this dude's just. Like it's just tough to be around.
Yeah, just a miserable kind of situation.
Yeah.
That's probably why Danica Patrick was so good at racing. She was trying to get away from it.
Probably. Oh, he's got a type because I'll tell you the other one looks like because he dated that other actress. Oh my gosh, she was in Newsroom. But he dated her for a little while, and then he also dated Danica Patrick. They look a lot alike. And then this other one, also black hair, actress that he dated was also black hair. She's like cut from the same mold. But anyway, we definitely digress. So that's still out there. You know. But right now, obviously, the big news is the upcoming draft. So we are going to roll into the wide receivers. Okay, I should probably fade that out, but I just like the abrupt ending.
Just shut it down. Shut it down.
All right, so obviously Travis Hunter is the best wide receiver in this group or in this draft. He's also, believe it or not, the best cornerback in this draft. And we don't know how he's going to be drafted. If I knew for a fact he was going to be a wide receiver in the NFL, he would be the number one wide receiver, hands down.
Just go get him.
Yeah. And whatever. I think he's going to be drafted at the top of the draft. And I think they're going to either the Giants or the Patriots. And he's going to be utilized as a wide receiver. Now, he's come out and said, which I didn't know that it was true, but you verified it. Yeah, he's come out and said that if he can't play both ways, he doesn't want to play.
He doesn't even want to play. He's like, I've done it my whole life. It's what my career is, and it just wouldn't feel right, is what I think the way he said it was. It wouldn't feel right not to play both.
Right.
So.
And this may be my ignorance speaking, but I listened to a lot of quote-unquote experts talk about how you can't play wide receiver and then have just packages to play corner. Like if you can be a full-time corner and have offensive packages that include you, but you can't have defensive packages. And my thing was, most defenses run nickel as their base defense. So most defenses are already running 3 corners out there every time. But if they made him a dime package cornerback, they don't always run dime package plays. I don't know what the percentage is, but it seems to me that he could still play both worlds, and then he would just be the 4th corner to come in on dime package.
Yeah.
And then if it's one of those obvious passing plays when they're going to be running quarters or something like that, he could come in and then play it that way. So I don't know. But we'll see. I think ultimately the money is going to talk, and he's going to do whatever the team tells he does, as they pay him a lot of money to do it.
But look, here's some monies.
Yes.
And just do this.
Yeah, and just do what we tell you to.
Do this.
So we'll see how that goes. But he is explosive. He's a good route runner. He's fast. He's got good hands. And you have to consider this when you talk about Travis Hunter and what he did in college. He was splitting time learning the defense and offense. He could not 100% commit in practice or in film
either
study.
Side of it and also,
so he was always playing both of those at a high level without getting as much film and coaching of those positions as everyone else who played them only. You know what I'm saying?
So he could potentially be even better than what we see.
Exactly.
If he gets put to one or the other and can focus at that.
Yeah. And you got to consider this dude was playing like over 100 snaps a game. That's insanity.
Yeah,
But I don't think he can do that in the NFL, take the beating and then play every snap. That would if he can do it, look, I'm not going to come out here and say he can't. I'm going to say it's going to be pretty fucking impressive. If he can do it both at a high level like he did in college.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would be the number one. I would put him up there. I wouldn't put him over Neighbors or even Marvin Harrison, but he would be right there in that same with Brian Thomas and Odunze, kind of whatever, if he was in last year's draft as a wide receiver.
And if, like you just said, as far as splitting the time-wise and playing defense and offense, had he focused and only played offense, he could potentially be in the Neighbors. Like that could be a shot at
because one of his knocks as a wide receiver is he's still kind of raw in his route run. And when he came in, it was, they had designed, he was running a lot of go routes, obviously downfield, but if he ran over the middle, he was, just running quick slants and stuff like that. His route tree wasn't as expansive as you would expect it as a number one receiver, but he was still very, very productive in his limited route running with Colorado. So again, like you said, if he does commit to wide receiver only, then he could absolutely take off and be right there with all those guys.
Exactly.
So he would be the number one. But once we're past him, the next one on the thing is Tetaroa McMillan out of Arizona, 22. Oh, let me give Travis Hunter stats. He's obviously out of Colorado, 21.9 years old, 6'1", 185 pounds. He did not run the 40, so I don't have 40 time, but he looks fast.
Yeah, he does look fast.
Tetaroa McMillan out of Arizona, 22, 6'4", 219 pounds. On his pro day, they say it was, some say a 4.54, some said a 4.57, so I called it a 4.55. Yeah. On his pro day. So I'm guessing that in reality he runs somewhere close to a 4.6, which is part of what the knock is against him. Yeah. Is his overall speed, but he is very smooth. He's very good in the open field. He has a tremendous catch radius, great route running. Mm-hmm. He's prototypical outside receiver. His a lot of his knocks are his urgency at times. He will get defeated in the press. His physicality, you would think at 6'4", 219 pounds, you would think he'd be more physical, but at times he's not as physical as you'd like. It seems like he gets a little lackadaisical sometimes. And his vertical speed.
What does lackadaisical mean?
and then there was a clip that came out. Now, I don't know what year it was. Some say it was his freshman year, but where he came out and he said he doesn't watch film. And that's very, 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 like he said, he doesn't need to and he doesn't watch it. And that's very, very concerning.
Yeah. That's
now his agent has since come out and said, nah, he watches film.
Yeah,
he's trying to repair it. But there's some that said that was some people have leaked that to try to get him to fall in the draft so they can draft him later, which is kind of a shady thing for teams to do. But they definitely do that.
That is.
But he definitely said it. But I think it was early on in his college career. I don't think it was in this last year.
It
but
was
I
before it became.
Yeah, I haven't dove into it, but people that I've heard talk about it seem to think that it was an earlier interview.
Yeah.
Either way, he is considered the number one receiver outside of Travis Hunter in this draft, but he is not a can't miss talent. Now go ahead and put it out there. None of these guys. This is not a good draft class overall for wide receivers.
Yeah.
There's going to be some hits. Don't get me wrong. There's going to be some people come out of this and whatever, but there's no Malik Neighbors types in this MVA. Like we said, Travis Hunter would be the closest to that, and that's it.
If you take like the running back class and you look at the top three or so, and the landing spot isn't really going to make a huge difference on their production. I think like
for a lot of for sure.
Wise,
yeah, the top end guys for sure.
These guys, like almost every wide receiver,
definitely
it's going to 100% rely on where they end up and
what type of offense.
Yes, like that.
Absolutely. What kind of quarterbacks? So
they all look like your stereotypical, like wide receiver 2, maybe a little higher on a couple of them that got to step up. But
a lot of good kick returners in this class.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
a lot of special teams guys. So. Did you have anything you wanted to add to the McMillan pile?
Yeah, no. He's a big dude, good hand. He's got good hands. It's 50-50. Like I said, there's a lot of these guys that I think are decent 50-50 guys. Like they're the big go up and get them kind of guys.
Yes,
big bodied. So he definitely fits that, and he's definitely a big one up there.
All right, next on, and I also say that these are in no particular order after Travis Hunter. We're just going down a list, but. This is a ranking. It is an hour ranking, but we haven't ranked them, if that makes sense. So anyway, Luther Burden, the third out of Missouri. I'm thinking it says MISSR. You have to forgive me.
Yes.
I don't know if it means Mississippi, but I'm pretty sure it's out of Missouri.
Yeah, I think it's Missouri. Yeah.
21.3 years old, 6 foot tall, 206 pounds. He ran a 4.41 140. What I saw is dude's fast. He's quick. He gets 0 to full speed very fast. Acceleration is good. He's a great playmaker. And he breaks a lot of tackles, but a lot of his plays were inside of 10 yards. So I don't know what he can do downfield. I looked it up, and they said 75% of his total plays at wide receiver were inside of 10 yards.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
They played him a lot out of the backfield too. He was definitely one of those.
So he's kind of a gadgety type guy.
Yeah, jet sweep and kind of pull it
and
out.
because of that, he didn't really have to concentrate a lot on deep route running and he didn't and things like that. So I'm concerned about that. He also played when he was on the field, played a lot in the slot, and he had a lot of trouble concentrating in traffic. A lot of his drops were in traffic across the middle of the field. So, they try to get the ball in his hands on screens and things shallow, let him kind of do that kick return, break tackles type thing. So he's definitely got a ton of potential. He's definitely somebody who could turn into something very explosive in this draft class. It's just I worry a little bit about what he can do as a true wide receiver downfield.
Yeah, he's probably one of my favorites from what I watched on film and all that in this, as far as like, of course, landing spot, but I feel like there's a lot more open opportunity where he can end up that he'll be viable fantasy wise. Like I don't know. I got that special feeling.
He's one of these landing spot guys we're talking about.
Exactly. But I think there's a lot more that he could end up at that he'll still be viable, where some of these guys are going to require like going somewhere where they're going to get pushed into a big position, volume. I think he can still do well as a wide receiver too, where some of the other guys are going to have to be, I guess, utilized more frequently to become relevant, if that makes sense, fantasy-wise.
All right, next on the list is Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State, 22.4 years old, 6'1", 202 pounds. He did not run a 40. And I couldn't find anywhere if he even did it at a pro day. So he's very good at tracking the ball. He's very good in space. But his speed seemed average. I did not see anything explosive speed wise from him.
Nothing super fantastic.
Yeah. And his physicality, I tell you who he reminded me a lot of, and this could be a good thing for him. He reminded me a lot of Olave in his physicality. Like Olave would go down, like he would catch a ball and boom, he's tackled.
Yeah.
He didn't have Olave's speed. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Olave's very fast. But he didn't fight through tackle. A lot of times on the press, he didn't fight through the press. He could get moved a lot in route running if they were, got physical with him. So those are things I was concerned about. But again, those are things that can be coached, and he could do better. Maybe.
Yeah.
He is an Ohio State receiver, and they seem to be doing pretty good in the NFL. So.
Minoski said this is the best receiver in this class.
That's what I heard.
If anybody's looking for a good receiver, this is the guy you got to go after.
Well, if you're looking for a Hall of Fame receiver, according to Minoski, this is
the guy. This is the only guy in this class right now that's viable to be Hall of Fame.
Minoski is a friend in our friend group who is from Ohio, and all he watches, he plays fantasy football. But all he watches is Ohio State football.
And all he drafts.
And here's the thing. He's never won a championship, but he's never leg of the bottom.
Yeah, he's never lost.
For somebody who doesn't know shit about the NFL, he only drafts Ohio State players, and he's always competing.
Look who he's got. He's got Burrow. And
he's got Burrow and Fields in a one-quarterback league.
But yeah, no, it's just jokes. But yeah, he's definitely he's where he belongs. He's in the top 5, top 6 of this class, I think, from what I've seen.
And I think he'll be a first-round draft pick. He seems like a prototypical receiver. I don't think they're going to use him much out of the slot. He'll be an outside receiver. It's just I need him. He doesn't have to be fast, but he needs to be a little more physical from my liking.
Agreed.
Number 5 is Matthew Golden. I'll be honest with you, this is one of the hardest ones for me. It seems like Texas receivers in all, because Isaiah Bond was kind of hard for me too, but just kind of the offense that they run and whatnot. Because you even had Worthy last year coming out of Texas, so it was hard to judge and figure out. But anyway, Matthew Golden out of Texas, 21.6 years old, 5'11", 191 pounds. He ran a 4.29, super fast. He obviously has got great vertical speed. He is awesome with the ball and in space, but he's lazy. He gets lazy.
Yeah.
Now, I heard an interesting perspective on another podcast, and I had never considered this, but because of the offense, the vertical offense that Texas likes to run, they send these guys on a lot of go routes. So they do a lot of running. Their offense will at times focus on one side of the field. So the individual play, I should say. So it's not like a three-man read. They'll have 2 guys on one side of the field, and it's going to be one of them ball's going to be thrown at, or the quarterback's going to run it. And so on the other side of the field, if they've already ran 3 or 4 plays downfield, and they know that they're not even going to come to that side of the field, then maybe they get lazy to try to catch a breather.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's somebody who is a big Golden, because the guy really liked Golden that came up with this theory. I don't watch enough to know that. I'm just throwing it out there as somebody who's a expert in the community was giving that perspective to kind of help explain maybe why Golden, a lot of times it seemed like he took plays off. He didn't, if he knew the ball wasn't coming to him, he did not fight. He didn't try to run the routes.
You see him just kind of walk out of bounds or kind of just pulled it out.
And sometimes it seemed like if a defender got too physical with him, he'd just give up. He wouldn't try to fight the routes. So those are things that concern me about him. But the dude, he to me could be a big, like a pleasant surprise of this draft if he's with the right coach in the right system and utilized in the right way, because he has all the tools to be very explosive and really be electric out there.
Yeah, definitely. I noted his ball awareness. He definitely knows, and I don't know if that's part of his quarterback's fault, because there were a lot of underthrown balls. And,
right, yeah. That's the other thing.
Yeah, you pull the receiver back, but he always made it work.
Right.
Or a lot of times he made it work, not always, but he seemed more aware of everything that was going on, especially where the ball was.
And he did seem to show up in big games. So that's another thing with him. So let's see. Number 6 on the list is Trey Harris out of Mississippi, 23.1 years old, 6'3", 210 pounds. He ran a 4.54. I thought he had really good ball control, and I thought his route running was crisp, very crisp. But obviously his speed and acceleration at a 4.54, like I saw a 4.54 and I was like, I felt like he was slower than that, to be honest with you.
It did look a lot. It did appear slower. Yes.
And you know, there's always the question with these Lane Kiffin offenses coming out of Ole Miss. You know, it is like, what do these guys really know? His route tree is very basic, based off of the offense. Same thing with their quarterback coming out. You just, it's like everything is designed a certain way to game these guys wide open, and so it's like one read, throw the ball, and these guys, you know, it's I don't know why everybody can't do it to get these guys wide open. But that's just the way Lane Kiffin does it, and it doesn't require them to know a whole lot. They just have to, you know, they come out very raw.
Yeah.
Even though they put up big numbers, is basically what it goes out to.
It looks inflated over what it is, but
right. And so because of that, these guys get pushed up the draft because of what they did, and then they get there, and you're like, well, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
Like, this has no idea what's going on here.
I mean, Tennessee players have the same thing. If you look at Jalen Hyatt going to, you know, the Giants, it's like the dude's route running is trash. He didn't have a route tree because he came out of Tennessee. He runs a very basic, get him open,
just out left and then get open. Yeah,
run downfield. We're gonna throw it to you.
Yeah.
So that was the other thing, but and the fact that he wasn't special physically anywhere else. He wasn't fast. Wasn't super overly physical. Like his route running was probably the best thing that I saw, but I just didn't see anything else that was something that I would, you know, try, like extra, I guess.
My biggest knock on him, I felt like he was too easy to tackle. Like,
yeah.
I feel like his size, he should be able to at least push through some of them, but there was a lot of plays.
Yeah,
where
his,
it was like,
6'3", 210.
I feel like he should be able to gain that extra 2 or 3 yards.
That's what I'm talking about with the physicality. He just nothing was special. There wasn't anything extra.
I didn't see that. It just seemed like they put hands on him and he's like down to the ground.
Exactly.
And it's like, it was boring, realistically. Yeah, you got 12 yards on the catch, that's cool, but I want to see 16, kind of deal. That's what you want, but
next on, I'm gonna fucking butcher this name. Elick Ayamanor. I don't know. He's out of Stanford, 21.8 years old, 6'2", 206 pounds. He ran a 4.44. Like that. Let's see where my notes. His speed and size ratio, love that. He was very physical in the run game. He will mix it up in the run blocking game. Not always good at it, but very eager to be part of it.
Yeah.
And he made some pretty acrobatic catches. I thought his ball tracking was okay, but that seems to be also a knock on him. But I mean, I guess when you're making acrobatic catches, and that's a lot of the highlights that you're seeing, I felt like he was a pretty good deep ball catcher, but it seems that that's also a knock on him. I didn't see it, but we haven't watched all his plays either.
His adjustments for the ball seemed really good to me, and like you said, the ball tracking and all. But like when you watch highlights of a player, they don't typically bring in the downs. They don't want you to see what he didn't do good.
Never.
So
I mean, if we could watch like the all 22s of. I don't know if we had the time to sit down and watch it, we would get a more well-rounded view. So instead of like the small window that we're looking in on these guys,
he's actually like, so I try to pick like a couple out of the top. He's my third wide receiver. Like not like I'm not ranking anyone per se, but like
he's
I'm
the third
for.
one. So I guess So who are the top two that you liked above him?
Luther Burden and Abuka. Yeah.
Okay.
So those three are who I have starred out. They're people that I'm going to be looking for in my drafts.
Yeah.
Personally, because I feel
depending on where they get drafted,
depending on where they're landed, but they're the names that I'm going to be looking more into when it comes draft time, in hopes that they end up somewhere that is viable or especially longevity. I just feel like they have the. They're not going to be as touted as some of these big guys. I like to, me.
You're always fighting for the underdog.
I'm always looking for the guys that nobody else is trying to grab hold to and snag them.
Yeah. The only other thing that I had negative against him is he did have a problem with drops, and he had trouble fighting through press coverage.
Yeah.
So that was another thing. He just wasn't physical. If you didn't beat him off the line, a lot of times it really messed him up. All right, number 8 on the list is okay. I don't want to call him Betch, but I think it's Beck. Jack
probably Beck.
Yeah, but he could be a bitch.
It could be a bitch. So it could be Jack Betch.
Jack Beck out of TCU, 22.3 years old, 6'1", 214 pounds. He did not run a 40. We're going to do our best to not compare him to Cooper Kupp. and we're going to do our best to not compare him to Ladd McConkey.
Yeah, no, we're going to avoid both of those comparisons as much as we can.
Oh gosh,
the Jack bench.
But having said that, very good route runner. I thought he was very crisp in his routes.
Yes.
It was very good at getting separation. And he was very physical, fighting through the coverage. But he did have average speed.
Yes.
Vertical speed, I should say. But he was quick in space. I will say that. He get the ball. His movement in a small area to make guys miss I thought was okay. And the other thing is he played 4 years, but he really only had one good year. And, sometimes that is a red flag. You look at what Legette's doing, which he had 1 out of 5, and he was kind of doo-doo buns last year. Yeah. So I don't know. I always worry when a guy only has one good year. He did not, his breakout age, I guess, was his age now. So that's a little concerning. He's definitely somebody that I think if Bill Belichick was coaching a team, he would be looking at this guy for sure.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
He would definitely be a Patriot.
No doubt at all.
If Bill Belichick was
100%.
So we'll see how that pans out. What else did you want to put on there?
The only thing I had, I'm a little nervous with his ball security. Like he seemed like one of those reachers. Like he'd like to try to gain that extra ground, that extra yard, that extra. Instead
he's scrappy.
He is very scrappy.
He's always in the film room. You know
that always makes me nervous with fumbles.
High football IQ. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. It just always makes me nervous when you're looking at these guys that are trying to reach and get that extra yardage.
He's more athletic than you think, to be honest.
That is true. That is true.
Sorry, I wanted to hit all the big cliches.
Yeah. But that was my biggest real knock. Like there was a lot of plays instead of just finishing and letting it go, he was trying to get that extra, that little extra, and that makes me nervous. When you get the NFL, the defenders go after the ball, not after the player a lot of times, and if you're reaching it out, you're going to lose it. So,
this next guy was one of my favorites on the list. Jalen Royals out of Utah State, 22.1 years old, 6 foot tall, 205 pounds, around a 4.42. He was very physical and very smooth.
Very, very physical, yes.
Yeah, dude, it will fight. He does lack. He's still raw in his route running, and as smooth as he is and as fast as he is, I didn't feel like the burst was there the way I wanted it to be for somebody who ran that fast with a 40. But other than that, I like this guy a lot. He's somebody that I would want on my team because I know that he's putting it all out there.
Yeah, he definitely runs super hard. It's not even always downhill, I would say, but he's always running like he's running downhill. If that makes sense.
Yeah. He's like a running back when he gets the ball in his hand.
I appreciate for his height, at 6'4" or 6 foot, me, how well he does run when he gets the ball and pushes that extra after the catch and all that stuff. So. And he's got a touchdown celebration that's kind of cool. I mean, they come over and
I didn't even know about that. Where they crown him?
Yeah, they crown him.
Yeah, Isaiah Bond, who we're about to talk about, he's not going to be able to get away with his in the NFL.
Yeah, no, that's not going to work out. It's not going to work out.
Yeah, number 10, the other Texas receiver is Isaiah Bond. He is 21 years old, 5'11", 180 pounds. He ran a 4.39. So one thing Texas has is speed. If you're going to run a vertical offense, you got to have fast receivers.
No doubt.
Isaiah Bond, let's see. Let me get my notes. Fast, explosive, obviously. I thought he had pretty good hands in traffic, which for his size and speed, you wouldn't have expected that. But I was like, he over the middle of the field, I felt like he still extended and had good hands. Where is it at? There we go. And obviously he's good in the open field. He can make miss. But here's the problem. He only had 99 catches in 3 years. So he didn't have a good production profile. That's a little bit worrisome to me. And his physicality in the press, his physicality to fight through the routes, that was another thing. He's one of those where he wants the free release. He wants to blow by a guy. He wants to get open. But if he gets stuffed at the line, it shut him down a lot of times.
He's not out there.
Yeah,
he doesn't make it at all. Yeah.
He's very raw. I would not expect him to get drafted before the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah,
just based off of how raw he is. He's perfect to bring in as a kick returner and let him develop as a receiver.
Yeah.
He's not anybody I expect to get thrown right out there.
No.
I would. There's guys underneath him that I would put above him in a heartbeat. So, anything you want to throw on that?
No, that pretty much wraps it. I mean, he's quick. super quick. I mean, on film, 40, whatever. I didn't have to know it's 40. I could have guessed from watching. You know, I mean, he's super quick. Yeah.
All right, number 11 on the list is Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State, 22.3 years old, 6'4", 214 pounds, 4.47. This guy's size to speed ratio is amazing. This is somebody that could creep just based off of that size speed profile. He's an outside receiver who is also fast, also big. He's great ball tracking. I got size to speed ratio, and he runs really good routes. I thought. Obviously, at that size, it's hard to be quick in the start-stop, and then his run after catch. A lot of times, you know, he's not somebody you're going to be throwing a lot of screens to.
Yeah,
you know, he's going to be a 50-50 guy. He reminded me a lot of Mike Williams. What Mike Williams was in the NFL, you're going to throw a lot down the sideline, let him go up and get it.
It's crazy.
If he can't beat the guy.
I was just Googling. I was confused, or not confused, but like I was considering in my head, he reminded me of Kenny Galladay.
Yeah.
Like initially, and I just went and looked. Galladay's identical, 6'4", 214.
Yeah.
Like they're almost body size.
I forgot. Well, yeah, good Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
Lions
no,
Kenny Galladay.
Kenny Galladay, not Giants Kenny Galladay.
God no.
No, but I'm just saying, like he that big 50-50, you know, like you said, down the pit, like on that side, you know.
But also smooth. Kenny was real smooth. Mike Williams, I would never call smooth.
Yeah.
So Kenny Galladay you might be right with that. He might be a better comparison because this dude, for his size and his speed, he's also really smooth, really good routes.
Yeah.
And Kenny Galladay was a really good route runner in Detroit.
Initially, yeah.
Until he decided he didn't want to play football.
He's like,
anymore.
You know what? Pay me a bunch of money and I'm just going to sit on the bench, right?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
So, all right.
And the Giants have got you, man. We got you.
Yeah. All right, number 12 on the list is Xavier Restrepo out of Miami, 22.9 years old, 5'10", 209 pounds. He did not run a 40, and I don't think he ran one as pro day either. Let's see. I thought he ran pretty good routes, and he was good in the 50-50. Like he was good in contested catches, but I didn't see a lot. It's funny, these guys that don't run the 40s and the wide receivers.
Yeah.
It's a lot of them, except for Travis Hunter. You look at it, and they don't have good top end speed.
Yep.
His speed didn't show up on tape to me, and I didn't think for his size, I didn't think he had a really good catch radius. I guess he's only 5'10". I'm sorry. I was looking at the guy right up under him, 6'4".
Oh yeah.
But I guess at 5'10", you can't really hit a guy for catch radius, but I felt like the ball had to be pretty close for him to catch it.
Yep.
And then again, he didn't fight through press coverage. That to me is a big knock on a lot of these guys, the physicality. There were so many of these receivers I just didn't feel like were physical. If a corner got in their face and hit them at the line, it really took them off the route. And he's one of them as well.
Set them back, yeah, definitely.
So anything else you want to throw on the Restrepo pile?
No, not really at all. There's a lot thrown there.
All right. Number 13 is somebody I had never heard of until I started looking at it. Is Savion Williams out of TCU, 22.3 years old, 6'4". I also liked him because of his size speed. I love tall, big guys who run under 4.5.
Who run fast.
Yeah, 6'4", 222 pounds. We ran a 4.48. His acceleration for that size, I mean, the dude, when he decided to go, he was gone.
Yeah.
But he did lack, I thought, some route running. He rounded a lot, some of the routes, and I just didn't. I think it was as crisp as you'd want. And I thought sometimes on the deep balls, the focus and the ball tracking wasn't what you want with somebody who's got that size speed.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, that comes into play when somebody that big, you're going to, especially if you're going to try to run, if you're going to be inside the 20 in the red zone, you're going to need somebody like that to be able to post up and do some 50-50 and stuff like that. I just didn't feel like there was, you know, that was in him in college. So hopefully it's something he can work on.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to throw there?
I mean, they played him out of the backfield a pretty good bit, honestly. He had 51 carries for 322 yards this last season. That's always intriguing.
It is,
you
especially
know,
for somebody that size.
Exactly, using somebody that big coming out of the backfield and everything. So, I mean,
he's definitely he can be used as a gadget guy. Yeah,
it's definitely interesting to have that size playing on all aspects of the field and everything. So, yeah.
Number 14 on the list is Tez Johnson out of Oregon. He is 22.9 years old, 5'10", 154 pounds. I could not find a 40 on him either, but I thought he was very quick in space, had great run after the catch, but his size, I mean, he's only 154 fucking pounds, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, when you are like Tank Dell is a beast
It's
compared
bigger,
to you,
yeah.
that's a problem. And obviously with that size, you can't. It's hard to be physical. It's hard to do anything. So I expect
Tutu Atwell's been fighting the whole time.
Yeah, and he's smaller than Tutu Atwell.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's like you're dealing with.
Yeah. Tutu Atwell is thick compared to this dude. So I don't expect much from him unless he's 5'10". He's taller than both Tank Dell and Tutu Atwell.
Yeah,
but he is at least 10 pounds lighter than both of them. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they got him on ESPN. They got him at 165, but
no, he is not.
Still,
this is combine size and weights that I got here. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
All right, and then last on the list, might be my favorite receiver. That's not one of the top guys. I definitely won't draft him like at the top of a draft, but you talk about guys. You gave some guys you're going to be looking for. Some guys I'm going to be looking for is Royals, and then this guy right here, number 15, Jalen Noel out of Iowa State, 22.6 years old, 5'10", 194 pounds. He was very quick. His start-stop ability to just in space make guys move. His route running, I loved all of that. He did suffer with drops. That's a big problem, obviously. He wasn't big in the contested catch, but if I've got him, I don't want him contested catch. He looked fast on the field. Do me a favor and see if you can find it. Look up just type in Jalen Royal 40 time and see if he's got a pro day one. Because I'll be honest with you, I forgot to look up his 40 or even try to.
4.39.
Okay. So was that a pro day or does it say?
Let me look and see. Hold on. So that's
or combine
pro day.
Pro day
/ combine was 4.39.
Okay, so he's
it's one of those.
Yeah, he's at least under. He's in the 4.4s if it is a pro day. So, he the contested catch, but I don't really concern myself with that with him. He's somebody. He's a go route guy. Excuse me. And post catch. He for what you want, if he's not going to be a 50-50 guy, you want him to make people miss in the open field. Mm-hmm. That was a little concerning. He didn't do that a lot, and he wasn't physical against the press again. So, but I liked him. He's very raw, I thought, and he's definitely somebody that under the right coaching, I think he could. I don't know that next year we're going to hear a ton. And again, it's going to depend on where he goes.
Yeah,
but I think he's somebody that in a couple of years we could be hearing about Jalen, Royal, coming out.
Noel.
I'm sorry, Noel. But yeah, so Royal is somebody I'll be looking for in middle of my rookie drafts, and Jalen Noel is somebody that I'm hoping to take a flyer on. There's a chance that one of these NFL teams does something crazy and drafts Noel in like the second round. And if that happens, it's going to inflate his value to a place that I may not be willing to take him. But if he goes where I think he's going to go in the draft, he's somebody I'll be looking to stash on his taxi squad.
Truth. Yes.
So there's that. And so let's talk a little bit about these tight ends. There's really only two that I care to talk about. I thought, Tyler Warren is an absolute beast, and no, he is not Brock Bowers.
No,
don't even try to make that comparison. Brock Bowers is a offensive weapon, and Tyler Warren is a beast tight end. If you want to compare Tyler Warren to somebody, compare him to something like a Travis Kelce. He will play in line, and he's going to play more of a true tight end. But he was the offense at Penn State. He's 22.9 years old, 6'6", 256 pounds, and he's an absolute monster. He has a high motor. He runs through you, and he will, for his size, run by you.
It was insane. Like the first highlight that pulled up when I went looking, just kind of diving out, and he literally tanked through the defender and rolled over him and got up and kept running. Like, his body never touched the ground. He rolled over the defender. It was just there's something different. Like Brock Bowers is probably going to be a better tight end in the league.
He's going to be a better offensive weapon
as far as fantasy is concerned. You're looking at all this, but this dude, I mean, I honestly I don't know that it's really going to matter where he goes.
Travis Kelce had some really good years, and I think he could be a Travis Kelce-esque in the right offense. Type tight end where he's getting 1,000 yards and 100-something receptions. He's just not going to be used the same way Bowers is. I don't think you're going to see him playing in the slot a ton. You're definitely not going to. Bowers Bowers will play downfield and run like deep wide receiver routes. He's going to be playing in that middle of the field, the seam, the truer, tight end, trying to beat that cover 2 type a play a player. And I think that he can excel there as a tight end, and he's going to be. I think he's going to be an absolute fucking animal. Trey McBride, in the same ilk as a Trey McBride.
Yeah,
he's not going to be like what what's his lips for Buffalo is, or even what Laporta is, or Hawkinson, because these guys will actually break out into the slot. They'll play kind of a wide receiver-esque type role. But I think Mark Andrews is a lot like what I think Tyler Warren can be, and that same thing.
That makes sense.
And I don't know where the Ravens are drafting, but man, if they drafted Tyler Warren, that would be insane.
I would hate that.
I don't know, because there's rumors they're shopping. They're shopping Andrews.
Well, that's fine. My likely shares are what I'm looking for. Like, I'm kind of
That's
hoping.
a fair point.
You know what I mean? I don't want to lose a lot of that.
I mean, likely should just play wide receiver. Bro.
I'm just saying.
He should just play
no
big
doubt.
wide receiver.
He definitely should just be out there wide receiver.
I low key, as much as I love Jalen Trey. My God, that's not Jalen Warren. That's the running back.
Little information.
Panthers tight end.
Jatavian Sanders.
Jatavian Sanders. The first thing I thought of was Jalen Warren, and I knew that wasn't
That's
right.
not even right.
I couldn't get there. I was never going to get there, to be honest with you. I could have sat here for 3 hours, and I don't think I would have pulled Jatavian Sanders out.
You know what? I think next time I'm gonna see what happens.
Please don't. Please don't. I'll just be like, the Panthers tight end from last year. Those rookie, and
I'll be like Greg Olsen, and you're gonna be like, no, not that one. And I'm just gonna
as much as I love Jatavian Sanders, and I want Jatavian Sanders to be good. Man, if the Panthers took Warren at 8, I wouldn't be mad.
Look, I feel
they
like
don't need him, but I wouldn't be mad.
I feel like in my personal fantasy opinion, that Jalen Warren could almost be drafted by any team.
You mean Tyler Warren?
Tyler Warren. You got me saying Jalen.
Yes, I'm fucking you up.
Yeah,
too.
you got me up. But I feel like he could almost be drafted by any NFL team and be immediately fantasy viable.
Yeah.
to a top 8 tight end degree, if that makes sense.
Just about. I wouldn't want him on the Raiders because of Bowers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want him on the Chiefs because of Kelsey.
But he could still go to Kelsey. I think that would still work for him there, because because they're still, even with work.
I don't want him on the Commanders, because they've got a
Senate and
I want Senate
Ertz
to have a chance.
They just re-signed Ertz too.
I know,
so
but I really want Senate to get his opportunity.
But I mean,
Sennate's really
you're
good.
talking like 10%.
But he would absolutely eat if he was on the Commanders.
Oh yeah, no doubt. He would definitely eat if he went to the Commanders. And
I want him to go. I would love to see him in Seattle. That would be awesome.
That would definitely be,
because
nice.
I don't think the what's his lips that they drafted last year is going to pan out. Although he's a dart throw in Dynasty. And another place is Cincinnati. I think he could eat in Cincinnati. If they, I like Eric All, but I don't know that Eric All is going to play this year.
Yeah, no,
I know they re-signed Gesicki there.
I think Cincinnati is an amazing place for him to go. Miami's a good place for him
would
to
be
go
at 12. I don't know. I haven't looked, but if he falls to 12 and Miami took him at 12, that would be awesome. Johnny Smith's not there anymore. Yeah, we saw what Johnny Smith did last year. That might actually be the best opportunity, but this next guy might actually make it down to Miami, and that's Colston Loveland.
Yeah.
21 years old, 6'6", 248 pounds. This guy's an athletic freak. He will play out in the slot. He will play downfield. Excuse me. Sorry. I need a burp button. But the thing about him is there were times where I felt like he was a little lackadaisical. He was a little lazy. He was a little, especially at the tight end. I don't need a guy that's going to just be kind of hum-hoing it out there,
Yeah.
But he has all the tools, and he's most likely going to be a first-round draft pick, and he can absolutely dominate.
He's kind of young, too. I mean,
yeah.
You look at, he's 21 years old. I mean, we're talking Tyler Warren coming in at 23 almost, essentially. Yes. I mean,
the guy underneath him, Harry Fanning Jr., is 20.8.
He's almost 21. I mean, that's a young age, in my opinion, for a tight end, because, I mean, to be a tight end, it requires a lot more than just size, because there's so much that they do, from the blocking to the actual offense, getting out there, getting open, all that stuff. Yeah. There's a lot more mentally that they need to know.
Oh yeah, tight ends
to become
is one of the hardest, if not offensively. Like quarterback's the hardest position.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I mean, it's like and O line's pretty hard too. But a tight end, if you compare it to like a wide receiver, a tight end has to know how to play O line and wide receiver in a sense.
Yeah, you got to learn all this extra, and to do that at 21, like 23 makes sense to me. You come into the NFL at 22, 23 because it's an extra year of knowledge and learning and development. Where at 20, 21, and you're coming in as a top prospect. Yeah, that's something to be said as well. Just saying, especially for us in fantasy, we're always looking at youth. You want young age. You want people that if he's already got shit figured out to where he's a top 2. Yeah. Right now, imagine what he is in 2 years.
As he matures,
when he gets 2 years in the NFL, this could turn into something better than what we're expecting right at this moment.
Yeah, and it used to be that it we didn't even care about tight ends till third year.
Yeah, until 3. Yeah.
Laporta balled out, and then obviously last year with Brock Bowers balling out, and so now we want the number 1 overall tight end to ball out.
Yeah, to do everything they need to do and be a receiver essentially. But
yeah. So, but those are really the only 2. I guess we would be remiss not to mention Mason Taylor, the son of Jason Taylor, Hall of Fame defensive end for the Miami Dolphins. But
I see what they did there. Mason, Jason, I get it. I see. Oh, Taylor too. They got the same last name. So
I mean, I don't know. I didn't really see anything that made there's talks that he could be a first round pick, but I don't know if that's really more about his name. Maybe there's something there. Maybe he's really good at blocking. I don't really pay attention to that on tape, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's always that, like bloodline kind of,
Yeah, so for sure.
They're always looking for that. You don't want to miss out on it.
6'5", 251 pounds. So.
He's a typical tight end size wise, and like I said, another one that's age wise is coming in kind of young. So it could definitely be relevant.
And a couple other names you just need to keep in your back pocket, depending on where they get drafted. Harold Fanning Jr., we mentioned him earlier, 20.8 years out of Bowling Green, 20.8 years old, 6'3", 241 pounds. Elijah Arroyo out of Miami, 22.1, 6'5", 250 pounds. Terrence Ferguson, 22.2 years old, 6'5", 247 pounds. I don't expect any of the other guys out of those top 6 to really. I mean. You definitely, depending on how many rounds your rookie draft is, and if it's only like a 3-round rookie draft, I always try to stash a couple tight ends that get drafted if they don't get drafted in the, so maybe you go pick up Gunnar Helm or Jackson Hawes or some of these other guys down the list just to throw them. Depending on where they get drafted, because there's a chance that some of them other ones pop as well. But
exactly,
I'm going to be looking to get Tyler Warren in the first round. I hope he goes somewhere where he's going to eat, because I need that.
I would very much appreciate him to go somewhere as well too. That's I like when you see people play in college and you see their highlights or even their downfalls and all, and they end up somewhere where you feel comfortable taking them and playing them.
Yeah, especially when you see somebody who just dominates the way that Tyler Warren dominated Penn State, especially at a tight end position, where he plays more of that. We talked about that, more of that true tight end, and to dominate at that true tight end position in college. Yeah, his production profile was insane. So. So there it is. There's the wide receivers and there's the tight ends for the draft. So we've wrapped it up, and hopefully Monday or Tuesday we can sit down and knock out a mock draft to kind of see where we like them before the draft, and then we can kind of see where we like them after the draft. So
it could be interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting because there's gonna be people who get drafted higher than we think, like a Sky Moore type receiver. Yep. And then there's gonna be guys that fall farther than we think, like Shadur Sanders. There's talk now that he may fall to the second or even third round. So I don't know. So we'll see how that goes. And if we do a draft next week, it will be super flex.
You said dude.
I did say dude. Yeah. We will do it as a super flex. The reason being is because if we don't do a super flex, then none of these wide receivers are going to get drafted in 2 rounds.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yes. And we at least like to bring them into the fold if it's so. But there it is. So if anything we say or do helps you get to that average place in your league, that means we did our job. Because, as we say, Matt, If you finish average, that means
That's exactly how we say it too.
yes,
You don't finish last.
Yes, it's totally not how we say it, but it's how we say it tonight.
Oh yeah, tonight. If you don't, if you did it,
Yeah,
no.
If you can speak average, then you speak last.
Warm beans.
Warm beans. For anybody who's wondering, Matt's decided instead of saying cool beans, he's decided to say warm beans, which just sounds, I don't know, it's just gross. I don't know.
It does
like if
sound
somebody's
bad.
like, it's like, hey dude, I just fixed your car, it's ready to go, and you're like, all right, warm beans, my guy.
I'm gonna do it 100% of the time. I'm gonna do it. Warm beans.
Oh God, it's so anyway, warm beans to you all out there, and I hope to talk to you next week. If we don't talk to you before the draft, I hope you guys have a good draft, and then we will definitely get with you after the draft.
100, yes.
So and most of our rookie drafts will be starting on Monday morning, at least in leagues that I commish. I can tell you that. 9:00 Monday morning.
Oh, be ready.
I think that was the something similar to the draft noise
sounded like
song. But y'all be good.
Later.
Hold on. I always forget this.
Holla.